Yes, you have seen this dress. I think someone should please give it a name, like a name that we can call this dress. This is a very trendy dress, and I know that you've seen it in different colors, different design, different necklines, different sleeves, and this is what we are going to be doing today, so that by the time you're done learning the basic of this dress, you'll be able to creatively adjust it in whichever way you can or you want to. You're welcome to Soul Junkies, and today we're going to get in straight into the drafting of this dress. So the first thing I'm going to mark is I'm marking my shoulder line. I'm marking my shoulder line. Half of it is 7.5 plus half inch if we are going to add sleeve, and the neckline is 3 by 3. That's the first neckline I'm using, but that's not the neckline obviously for the dress. I'm still going to adjust that neckline. Then here I'm creating the armhole. Like, this first thing I'm doing is basically what you're used to by now if you've been on this channel long enough. So I would like you to please refer back to the basic bodies if you don't get it, because I'm just going to run through it very fast. So the next thing I'm doing is I'm just drawing out the armhole. And I added 1.5 inch for the allowance. 1.5 inch. Usually for clothes like this that don't have lining, I use 1 inch, but I just added 1.5 inch. So the next thing I'm marking the waist length. Then after that, I'm just going to take from that waist length to my hip depth, the most protruding part of my hip or my bum bum. That's where my hip depth, where my hip bone is, that's my hip depth. For this tutorial, it is 9 inches. So I just marked that out, and then I'm just connecting my point like so. So the next thing is I'm going to fix up my neckline. I'm using 4.5 for this neckline depth, 4.5 for this neckline width, and the depth 3 inches. So like I said, this dress comes in different designs. You can have corset top, you can have breast tube, you can have it as off shoulder, you can have it as normal regular neckline. But for this style that I'm creating, just go with the flow. So you can make amends wherever you want. So this I'm just marking out the hip measurement using the curve rule to create that curve at that hip line. So if this is your first time on this channel, you are very welcome. I guess you've not missed so much, because you can actually go back to the channel and just watch some very interesting and detailed video on our channel. Please do subscribe and give us a thumbs up if this tutorial is making a whole lot of sense. So we're done. I've taken the full length of my dress. Whatever I took at the hip measurement is what I'm putting at the hem of the dress. Like, if my hip measurement plus that seam allowance, that's 1/4 of my hip measurement plus the seam allowance is what I'm having at that hem. So the next thing I'm marking now is I'm marking my bust span measurement, which is my nipple to nipple measurement divided by 4. So that nipple to nipple measurement divided by 4 is 3.5. And here I'm marking out my shoulder to my nipple. That's your bust point, your bust line. So my shoulder to my nipple is 9.5, and then the next thing I marked is my shoulder to my under of bust, my shoulder to my under of bust. So please, if you have any question, will be in the comment section to answer all of your questions. So here we're just going to draw a dart. We're just going to draw down our dart. Please just follow us. You'll definitely understand if you keep following us. So here I'm just going to mark all of my lines: chest line, bust line, waistline, under of bust line. You see, waistline, that's the lines we have for now. So the next thing we're going to do is we're going to just measure from that waistline to 4 inches. I'm going down by the 4 inches, or you can measure from your shoulder to where you want that gathers to start. It is that upper hip measurement, or where you put your jeans trouser, not high waist trouser now, the normal regular trouser. So wherever your measurement is, you can just mark it from the shoulder. So that 4 inches just work. So the next thing I'm marking out my dart leg. I use half with 2 lines for my dart leg, and I just drew out my dart like so. So please, if you haven't subscribed, like I earlier said, please do subscribe. So I'm going to connect that line to my hip depth, or a bit lower than my hip depth. I'm just going to connect it. Because this dart is not just going straight down. Yes, we're going to have a style line straight down, but it is not going to be where our dart. I just redirected the flow of our dart to our side, because if you look closely at the design that we are recreating, that's how the dart style line went. So please, if you have, we're going to create a shoulder dart dress. Like this dress is going to have a dart that flows to the shoulder. So if you haven't done this before, just keep watching. You will definitely get it. But I assure you, if you don't want to go through all this, the process of making this dart, you can use your regular dart. You can use your regular princess dart. It is all good, but we're trying to recreate a dress, and we are going to try as much as possible to get the look, get what our final result to look like it as much as possible. So we're done. We're not done yet, sorry. We're almost done with the markings of the dart. So the next thing we're going to do, we're going to extend our dart leg, that half of your bust palm, nipple to nipple. We're just going to extend it to the hem. We're going to extend it to the hem, just like you see me doing. Please just follow me, and if by any chance you have any question, I'll be in the comment section to answer all of your questions. So we're almost as good as done. At this point, I'm just using 1/4 of an inch to tighten that upper chest, because once you cut this out, you are going to have a gaping. We're going to try to control any form of gaping by using 1/4 of an inch on either side, and that 1/4 of an inch, we're going to replace it back at that shoulder line. You can see what I did. We're just going to replace it at that shoulder line, and smoothly allow our extension, that extra half inch that we took as the gaping allowance. We're just going to run it smoothly into our armhole. So please let us know if you have any questions, because I believe if you watch this video keenly enough, you will get what we are doing here. Especially even if you are a beginner, I'm sure you will get all that we are doing here. Peradventure you missed some part of it, don't be shy. We are here to make sure you get it. We'll be here to reply you. So here we are as good as done with this drafting. We're almost done with the top part. So I'm just trying to cut it out so that I can cover up the side that and transfer it to that upper part. You get what I'm doing? So you can see by now, if you went through our basic bodice pattern where we showed you a bit about that manipulation, you will understand what I just did here. Like I said, you can actually transfer your dart to any part of the body. Can transfer it to the middle, you can transfer it anywhere. So here we've transferred it to the shoulder, and we're just going to cut that down. So at this point I realized that I've not cut out that our style line, the style line that it's the cruise of this style. I realized that we've not cut it out, so I just, from the seam allowance, I just placed our curve and just run it through. There are some of these designs that came a bit into the towards the center front before the curve just got in. So like I said, just decide the design you would want and stick with it. But this is basic enough to be able to show you what you would do if you see anyone with a different style line. You get? So I'm just cutting out all of my darts. So here for this front piece, we have 3 pieces. You can see it. Piece 1, which I will name A, B, and the third one is C. That third one is going to be the side of our cloth. That's what I marked it to be. So here I'm just trying to decide how far I want the gathers to be. I would have just allowed it to end at that hip line, that hip bone. So I came down by 4 inches from that hip bone. So you can let your gather just end at that hip bone, or you can extend it downwards like I did. So like I said, depending on your design or your particular twist that you want to make to the dress. So here I'm just, this particular side piece, we're going to slash it and then spread it. We're going to cut on all of these markings. So I just eyeballed the measurement. I just eyeballed and I just ruled along. So counting it, I have about 6-7 pieces of these particular lines. You can have 5, you can have 4. That doesn't actually determine the fullness. Is the spread that actually determines the fullness. You can cut into 3 and spread each by 10 inches, whereas you cut into 10 and spread by 2 inches. So the spread is what will determine the fullness. So the next thing I'm doing is I'm cutting the back. I'm just cutting, I'm creating the back piece for this particular design. There is nothing much for this particular measurement. So here I just made the adjustment because the shoulder to blouse waist for the front was 1 inch shorter, which I adjusted by adding a side dart to our piece. So I quickly made that correction. I quickly made that correction. So here I'm just working out my back pattern. So it's just the same as you would when you are making a straight dress. The only difference is that style line at the side. You get? When you are making a normal straight dress, what would you do? You would just put your markings, put your hip, put your hem, do the zipper part, and then you will be good. So just like I did for the front, I'm also marking out my 3.5 inches, 3.5 inches style line, as you can see. So you do the same thing. As you can see, bringing the front to it, I just made all the necessary adjustment where it was important. You get? Where it was important, I just made all the necessary adjustment. So if you are careful enough, your pattern for the front will be exactly the one for the back. So the next thing, just do the zipper, the zipper adjustment. That zipper part where we take about 1/2 inch away from the waistline, so that our zip will lay flat on our bodies when we wear our dresses. So by the time you are done with that, you're done with the back. It's mostly the front that has that serere, because it is just normal that we're adding to the back of this pattern. There is no shoulder dart. If you like, you can add your shoulder dart. I did not add that to this pattern. I only made allowance for the normal regular basic dart for our pattern. So we're done with this. You can just go ahead and cut out on your fabric. Don't forget, the front pieces has 3, the back pieces has the back bodies have 2, while the front bodies have 3 pieces. So here I'm just slashing my pattern and spreading it out. So I spread it out with about 2 inches. So like I said, it is not how many you cut out at the end of the day, because it is a straight pattern with just that curve at the side. You can cut as many pieces as you want. So I cut out about 4 pieces at the end of the day. Like you see, 1 and 2, I cut it as 1, and then the 7 and 8 and the 6 and 7, I just made it 1, because I didn't have enough fabric. So I'm sorry if at the beginning of the tutorial I did not tell you how many yards I used. A size 6, and I used 2 yards of fabric. It was really a manage, but if you want something that will be fuller, where that gathers at the side will be fuller than that, you can use more than that. And also, if you want it standing, you can use a different fabric like Mikado can do that standing work perfectly. And you can also add a bridal net to the side just to create that standing effect. So that's just the difference between using a thick crepe fabric, because I used a thick crepe fabric for this dress, and the difference between using a thick fabric and Mikado just have that thickness to it that makes the fabric very firm. So if you want that very firm standing talking ash kind of design, so using Mikado will do the trick. And if also you want more, you want the standing to be more, you can add your bridal net. That net they had for bridal dresses, you can add it on the inside of the dress, and everything will be all good to be nice and standing. And you can also have seen a design where they actually added horsehair or crinoline to the bottom of the dress. So like I said, on this channel, it is about creativity. I'm here to just show you basic styles. You can twerk it, you can change the neckline, you can change the sleeves, you can change things about the dress and make it, personalize it to your own, make it custom made for yourself. So you may not need to just copy everything, but just know the basics, and then when you are ready to actually make this style for yourself, you know how to go about it, and you know how to, if you like puff sleeve, you can definitely make this dress with a puff sleeve. So here we are done pinning down our slashes. Like I said, I opened and spread by 2 inches, and then I just notched. What I did there was to notch where my gather is going to start and end. Don't forget, this fabric was on fold for 2 sides. You know, we have 2 sides, left hand side and the right hand side, and the middle part is not going to have any joining. It was on fold. So please ask me if you have any other question. So I'm done with the cutting. I'm done cutting out our fabric, our material for this. So the next thing is to go over to the sewing machine and start creating the magic. So we've created the magic of pattern. The next thing is to create the magic. So I'm also notching the point on my front pattern and back pattern where the gather is going to stop and end. That way we don't have any mix up. You just know that from this point to this point is where it's going to end. It makes your sewing easier and just straight to the point, not you lose and sew, lose and sew. So just notching your pattern will go a long way to reduce the time you spend. So I measured the armhole and then I cut it out. It is just a straight pieces, no plenty serrating for that sleeve. It's just a straight pieces. And then what I did was to fold into two. What I had was about 28 of it. Just measure from your shoulder and where you want your sleeve to end. Fold into two on the lengthwise and fold into two on the widthwise. That way you know the width I used about 4.5, and then I just measured and notched the middle of the sleeve from the middle to the half length of the armhole. Then from the middle to the half length, then I closed up the other part of the cloth. So the next thing I'm doing now is to sew. The first thing I'm going to do is to sew the front, like joining all the style lines together at the front, and doing all the necessary things that I need to do. So I'm drawing out the pattern for the back, so the darts for the back. So I'm done. I used facing for the neckline because I had a little bit of leftover fabric that will be enough for the neck facing, and then I weaved all the other part. Here I'm just going to close it down using the seam allowance that I added. So have gathered the side piece. As you can see, this is what I did, and I'm just going to pin them together. I'm going to pin them together. That way it will just be easy once I get to the sewing machine. The first thing is to know the midpoint of this side piece. Pin that the midpoint to the midpoint of the main dress, and then spread properly the gathers. If you want the gathers all on the midpoint, just take it to that point. But like I said, I already notched where the gathers are going to end, so I'm just adjusting the gathers to the point where I need it to be, and it is very, very straightforward from here on. I've added my sleeve, I've added my zipper. I'm just fixing up that side. Like I said, this side piece doesn't have any joining. When you are going to place the pattern for the slash and spread, make sure number one is on the folded side. The side that is folded will have to be placed on number one, so that by the time you finish cutting, you will not have joining at that side. So what you did here, you're also going to do on the other side. And now we're done. Here I'm just going to show you how I did that little beautiful bow on the dress. So I marked it out, I measured it, I measured it 6 inches. I'm just flipping. There was no tying. So this bow tie was not tied. It was not tied at all. I just created it like so. Just flip one end to the left hand side and flip the other end to the right hand side, and it became a bow. I didn't need to tie it because I was going to tack it, and I already cut out my pieces. The pieces wasn't it wasn't long enough. I used 2 yards, 1 yard on each side. So altogether I had 6 pieces for each side. So I put 2 extra pieces at the back and 3 extra pieces in front, and then one at the midpoint, so making 6 pieces altogether. So what I did now is to use my hand needle to tack, and then pick up two beads. I just added 2 beads to create a little bit more aesthetic to my dress. Not that I've seen this somewhere, but I thought it was going to come out great, and it really did. So by the time you are done tacking, you just tie a little knot. You just secure it with a tie. Once you are done with the little tie, you take it to the dress and tack it also. Sew it to the dress. Put it in the position you want. You can see I'm just snipping it so that it has that slant side to it, and it's really lovely. So this is, here I am fixing my mini bow to the dress. It is just easy. Just tack it to the dress, pick a little bit of the dress, then when you're returning, pick a little bit of the bow, pick a little bit of the dress, just tack the way you would tack a button or tack anything to a dress, and then secure it with a tie. Secure it with a tie. That way the bow is secured to the dress and will not just fall after the first wash. You get? So that's all for this dress. We have a whole lot. We have the bubble skirt. Have you seen the bubble skirt? What about the basket skirt? You haven't? Please go to my page, follow the link as you go on, and go watch those other videos. If you love this, I'm very sure you are going to love those other videos. So go check them out. Thank you for watching today. See you on our next tutorial. Bye.